Hey guys, I'm Josh from Layzee. Thank you for tuning in. We are saving the world here, one trailer at a time. We're going to do a walkthrough, how-to video, orientation video for the Imagine product by Grand Design today. It's going to be a little repetitive if you watched one of these. You kind of watched them all, but I want to do individual brands just because there's a few differences there. We're going to go through the outside stuff for the walkthrough first, have a look inside. On our journey today is Brandon Hannemeyer holding down the camera. He's going to put his little input and a bonus little segment at the end there for him. Yeah, let's just start going through this here. It'll be less formal, more so just try to work through this together. Now, you have a front power jack here, extend or retract. That's not extending or retracting the trailer, that's extending or retracting the leg. So you're extending the leg, lifting up the trailer, retracting the leg, retracting the trailer. Now, for hookups, you're going to need to have a weight distribution hitch. If you're getting that centerline TS Husky hitch that we most of the time sell, watch that video on how to put that on, take that off. There's an installation video too. Maybe throw it in the description down below, Chrissy. So you'll need to have some kind of a hitch, weight distribution, some kind, pulling any of these Imagines. Even if it's a 1750 all up to the 3250, you'll need some kind of weight distribution hitch for sure. But besides that, you need to have 4 things in place to travel down the road. You have to have the ball on your truck up and in, into the coupler, locked with a pin in. That's the first thing. Then you need to have your chains. All right. These need to crisscross underneath the hitch, hook onto the truck. The reason they crisscross is the trailer ever comes off. They're actually going to cradle in the chains there. So that's your second thing. Then you need your light hookup. Okay, it's a 7-way connection, which means you need to have a brake controller in the truck or the vehicle you're using to pull this with. This will operate your lights, your brakes, and to use your brakes you have to have a brake controller in the vehicle. So that's your third thing there. And then you got yourself a brake away switch. So this is a little bit different here on the Imagine than it is on like the Transcends or something else. I think it's a nice little feature. It's a kind of like a slinky style, so it's not going to be drooping down below, which is kind of a nice feature there, but hook this up to the trailer separate from the chains. The idea here is if the truck or trailer comes separated, this is going to pull a pin, which is going to activate the brakes on the trailer, not let them follow you down the road. So that's a nice little thing, but those 4 things. Pin in the coupler, lights, chains, and then that breakaway cable. Now, here's our propane tanks. All right. Just for demonstration purposes, I pulled off one of these here. This one right here is empty. I got a used full one over here. We're going to hook these up though. You're always supposed to have the valves facing the trailer, okay, which is what we got going on. We take this tank here. All right, the 2 collars kind of go through the tanks there. This tightens down. You want to have this straight, just to make it look nice. Okay, and just hand tighten it just a little more, okay? Then you take these valves here, they're QEC valves, they thread on righty-tighty. Okay. Easy. Whichever way this valve right here is pointing is the tank it's drawing off of. There's a little arrow on here, so it's pointing off of that tank. Right now we have propane in this tank, so I'm going to point over this one. But let's say hypothetically we use all the propane today, this goes empty. It's actually automatically going to start to try to draw off the other side. It has an automatic changeover. So this one goes empty, you'll automatically start drawing off of this tank. You'll know this tank's empty though because a red line will pop up in front of this piece of glass right here on the front side of the regulator. But when you see that that's empty, you flip this over, the red line will go away because this tank will hypothetically have propane. Then you can shut this tank off, disconnect this valve, go get this tank filled without shutting off the system over there. You're still running on the system over there. So, and then vice versa. When this tank comes empty, it'll automatically start drawing off of this tank, and then you can flip this over, disconnect this tank, and get it filled. So that's kind of how that works, back and forth like that. I don't know why you do this, but if you put this up and down the middle, you'll draw both tanks evenly, which is a silly thing to do. Our battery's right here. When this comes from Layzee, it's going to have a battery that looks similar to this, but new. and a battery box that encases it there. Red is positive, black is negative. You have a battery disconnect in all these Imagines, so you don't have to worry about disconnecting your battery when you're not using it for trips there. But you have to take the battery, you have to disconnect the battery and take the battery inside for the winter. So you don't want to leave this out here, let the battery freeze. That'd be bad. So you're gonna disconnect the battery, bring that inside, and store it on the floor, not on a concrete floor. That's important. It's got to be stored, above freezing and not on concrete. So that's cool there. Anything else on the front here, Brendan?
No.
Okay. We do have lights here. They are controlled inside though on this convenience center. Magnets, which is cool. So the switch for those lights, they're not in the convenience center. We'll get to it. They're on the other. Oh no, they're right here. They're right here. Focus, Josh. That's your switch there for your front lights. Okay. You have a front light in here, and then you have a prep for a TPMS system. The system is not there itself, but Grand Design this year for Imagines, they put the prep there for a tire pressure monitoring system. So while we're in here, we got ourselves an outside shower. Okay, they are having a really hard time with these blue hoses, so there's no blue hose on this one. But you have a hot and cold here. Big thing with this outside shower though is that you gotta make sure you winterize it. On the topic of winterizing, we've done a video on winterizing, so if you have questions on that, check out that video. So that's that. Your city water connection is right here. So basically, if you have water at the site, you're going to take a hose, bring it up through this hole here, thread it in there, and you're going to turn the water on at the post, and you're going to have water at your taps. That's really straightforward. Now, whatever pressure you have on that hose is pressure you're going to have on the trailer. So you should get a water pressure regulator to go in between the hose and the trailer. To fill your freshwater tank, you can do that by just hooking up here and twisting this valve to fresh tank fill. Okay, so the label there. So that's going to fill your freshwater tank. So for dry camping. So if you don't have water at the specific site you're going to, you're going to fill your tank here, turn your water pump on, and pump it through the system there. So city water, freshwater fill. I mentioned you don't have to disconnect the battery all the time when you're not using the trailer. That's because we have a battery disconnect. So you take that. You can just, if you take that switch out, the battery is disconnected. To turn the battery back on, flip it over to the right there. Outside receptacle is attached to your GFI that's inside the trailer. So if that's not working, it's probably because your GFI is kicked. Now, you have a few cable hookups here. So if you have cable at the site, you thread it into this middle one. It's labeled here cable. So that's pretty straightforward. If you have satellite set up at the site you're at, so you've brought your own satellite, you got to set up here. You're going to take that coax up and through this hole, hook up to the satellite. If you want to have satellites as well to your bedroom, you got to hook it up right here to the bedroom. The difference between satellite signal and cable signal is you can split cable, you can't split satellite signal. So that's why it's individual coax there for each room for the satellite. Okay. Feel good about that, Brandon?
Yeah.
Okay. Backing out here, we have manual stabilizer jacks, and they're stabilizer jacks. They're not levelers. So basically, you get a handle, fit that onto here, crank these down. They are not meant to lift the trailer, level the trailer. They're meant to stabilize the trailer. So how do you level your trailer? What you do is you're going to back up onto the site. Okay. You're going to take your level, put it on the floor of the baggage door. Here is probably a good spot. See how level you are side to side. If you're low on one side, okay, you're going to pull a head off the site. Put a piece of wood down on the low side to drive up on, so a piece of 2x6, drive up on that piece of 2x6, and then come back here and check it. Okay, yeah, I'm still a little bit low, so I'll drive ahead, put another piece of 2x6 down, drive over. So you level side to side with your wheels first. Then, once you're good side to side, you're going to twist the level front to back, take the truck off, out of the way, unhook your hitch, unhook your chains, all that stuff, get that out of the way, level it front to back with your front jack. And then once we have a level side to side, front to back, then we come here to these stabilizer jacks, bring them down to their snug, and then one full turn after, just to take the bounce out. So that's that. Good about that, Brendan?
Yeah.
Great. We mentioned you can fill your fresh water through here, but you can also fill your fresh water through there. Sorry, here, right here. So if you don't have the end on the hose and you're trying to figure out how to fill your fresh water tank, just stick the hose in through there, and when the tank is full, it's going to splash back out at you. Same thing here. If you've hooked up to freshwater fill, it'll start overflowing here in this this freshwater fill spot. Wherever this is on your model, like this actual fill spot, is where your tank is, and that's where your drain will be down below. So there's a little white gate valve here. That's how you drain just your freshwater tank only. And it's going to be different on every model. This is a 2670, so it's towards the front here. But wherever your fill is, look underneath, that's where your drain is going to be. We have a Blackwater flush kit. We're going to come back to that here in a second. The larger Imagines are 50 amp service, which means they're prepped for a second AC. So this is a larger Imagine, it's a 2670. So we have a 50 amp cord. I'm just using some adapters here. 50 amp service is for 2 ACs. Okay, so if you're not using 2 ACs, you don't need to have 50 amp service. You can run this on 30. So you can see I've just got my little adapter down to 30 amps right now. I could basically, on 30 amps, I could run everything because there's no second AC. I've also adapted down to 15 amps. When you're running on 15 amps, which are those little household cords, you can't run an AC, but you can basically run everything else. So to be clear, you need 50 amp service if you have 2 ACs and you're running 2 ACs. You need 30 amp service to run an AC, and then 15 amp service as your regular household plug. That will keep the battery charged, that will operate the fridge, your lights, all that kind of stuff on 15 amp service. Okay, so that's what we got going on here. Furnace vent, don't touch that. You have a nice little light here that lights up where you're draining your sewer. Now, sewer's a topic. All right, so it's gonna be hard to get an angle on this, Brandon. Okay, so basically, Imagine does a good job. They bring the gate valves themselves into the underbelly so that they're kept nice and warm off the furnace, and they do label these tanks. So you notice there's a valve directly below the sticker, so black tank, valve right there, and then there's going to be a couple other valves further back here. So gray tank, another handle down below there. Okay. So instead of just being down that position, I'm just going to stand up. But you're going to have labels there that will label black or gray. Let's say you have sewer at the site. Okay, so sewer's right here. You may think, oh, I can leave all my tanks open, let them just run right out into the ground. That's not how it's going to work. You have to leave your black water closed. If you leave your black water open, the liquids are going to run out and the solids are going to build up in the bottom of the tank. All right, so make sure your black water is closed, and you can leave the gray water open. Let the sinks in the shower, which is gray water, sinks and showers, your gray, let that stuff run out as it builds up, no big deal. When you go to dump your black water, you need to make sure you close your grays first, open up the black, all right? And that's gonna flush it all at once. You wanna wait till the tank's at least, 2/3 full or full before you do that, and let enough pressure to push that all out there. Now, while you have your black water tank open and your gray waters are closed, you can hook up a hose to your Santa flush kit or your black water flush valve. Hook up a hose here. There's basically a line that goes from here up, down into the tank and sprays down the inside of the tank. It is paramount that you have the black water valve open when you have this hooked up and running. If you don't have it open, there'll be pressure that'll build up in the tank. Eventually the tank will fill up. It's just really bad news, okay? So when you're using the black water flush kit, have the black water open. Now it's pretty straightforward when you don't have sewer at the site. So let's say you're going to a dump station when you're done your camping trip. You're gonna take it down the road to the dump station, hook up your hose, put that into the dump station area, and then you're typically going to pull your black water first, okay? Let that drain out, and then follow that with your gray waters, okay? After the blacks run out. So black first, follow with the gray. Then with the black water still open, you can hook up a hose right here, and that's going to spray down the inside of your tank for you, okay? Cool. These rack and pinion style slides, they do have a manual override on them. So that's the style, depends on your trailer. That's the style of slide that goes underneath the trailer with like a rack and pinion. The Schwintek slides, which are the ones we're going to see here on this 2670, they basically have like a rail down the side here. There isn't really an easy manual override for that, so that's something you're going to have to call a service center and at least have them walk that through with you, kind of thing. Rack and pinion, there is a nice easy style system when you crank in. Feeling good on this side, Brendan?
Yeah, really good.
Okay. Well, you look great.
Thank you. You look really good too.
It's not a big deal. 6-gallon gas electric water heater. You don't care about the size. We'll learn how to use it. It's a Dometic water heater. I shouldn't say Dometic. It's an Atwood water heater. Pardon me. So a Suburban water heater, which is on different brands, will have like an anode rod. This does not have that. This just has a cap. So you just take this cap off. That's how you drain your water heater when you're going to winterize for the winter. You don't have to replace this cap. You don't have to install it as a rod or anything like that. You just take this cap off, drain the water heater, and that's it. There's no other switches from here. There's nothing else you touch here. So for winterizing only, you take this cap off. When you're done winterizing, put the cap back on. Don't touch this valve. Don't touch this gas valve. Don't touch the venting. Leave it alone. Okay? Roof ladder. You know, you got to get up on your roof, check your seals every 90 days. We've done a video on that. Let's put that in the link down below. It's really important. You know, big investments. If you don't check your seals, the seals go bad, it's going to leak, it's going to ruin your trailer. You got to check your seals. Tire. We're going to have a hard time seeing the tires in this one because the slides are over top of it. So we'll talk about this one. They're 15-inch radial tires on this particular model. There is a rating on the tire itself. Look at your specific model. Check the rating for the tire pressure. It's a 15-inch tire on this 2670, so 65 psi. But some of the smaller tiles will be 50 psi. So check your specific trailer. It's listed on here for your max tire pressure. Keep it the max. The most common reason why you get like a blowout or uneven wear on your tires is because they're underinflated or overinflated. So make sure you keep an eye on that. These are nitro fill. You know, sure, if you want to go get nitrogen, put them in. That's great. You're a super camper. Most customers are just topping these up with air, and it's not a race car, so you're probably fine with that. The tires, the tires on the trailer themselves are aluminum rims, so they need to be kept at 120 foot-pounds of torque. When you get home, you should be, for those first couple trips, you should be torquing those lug nuts because they can have a way of loosening off those first couple trips. So torque those down to 120 foot-pounds. All right, your fridge vent is here. Fridge vent's up there. There's nothing you can do out here. Don't obstruct the venting. Don't touch it. Okay?
That's
for your end? Good, thank you. So we do have a backup camera prep at the top there. So basically, you can buy a camera. You can get it from Amazon. You can buy it from us, whatever. You can unscrew that cap there, like the bottom portion of that, screw the camera in, and then there's a wire in behind that cap to plug into the back of the camera. And then you have a separate screen that plugs into your vehicle inside the inside the cab with a 12-volt lighter, 12-volt outlet. So pretty straightforward, but it's not the camera itself. It's prepped for it. There's a cable in the back. You can screw it right in. Thanks, Brendan. I didn't believe you at first, buddy, but we looked into it, and yeah, GMC trucks, year later, 2021, they cannot use those for your own backup cameras. So that's interesting. Don't necessarily have like an alternate for that yet, but yeah, so just keep that in mind. You have a 2020 or 21 truck. Great. Outside kitchen, this is going to be different, or you may not have this on your model, but when they do, it's like a outside 2-burner stovetop here. It doesn't just run. You have to pull the hose down. Okay. There's like a little quick connect hose right here. You got to pull down, and you're going to have to hook it to that quick connect over there. Now the quick connect itself won't operate. There's like a valve down here. You have to have this valve off to be able to operate the sleeve to get the quick connect in. But then once the quick connect hose is in, then you have to turn this on. Okay, there's like a little valve underneath it here. All right, off is against the line, on is with the line. And then you should have this kind of buttoned up here so that dirt doesn't get in there. Okay. And then otherwise, you just turn it to light it with a lighter, bingo bango. Oh, that's right, the hose is in the way. Okay. Fridge is just on off. So if you have an outside kitchen fridge, you just have like an on-off switch in through there. It's a 110 only fridge. Doesn't run off 12 volts. Does not run off gas. Outside TV hookup right through here. So these outside receptacles are all GFI protected. But if you put cable in from the outside or use your TV antenna, that will come out through here. It's not satellite ready for here. Alright. So these stairs are cool, but they can be a little bit of a pain because you may have uneven ground. So to adjust for that, you need to adjust the the legs here. So let's say we're up on a hill here, we may need to shorten these legs, and you do that by collapsing this, sliding that up, locks into place. Depending on how old your Imagine is, if it's like an early 2021, they used to have pins that came out of here. All right, so you may have to pull the pin out, adjust the legs, and move on. Why that's an issue, not just it would be uncomfortable with being off level, you got to make sure that your door clears here. Because if you're trying to shut this door and you slam it shut, it's going to bend the door here. So make sure you have clearance here the first time you close or open that door. All right, we have to run into that on the sales line. Letting the hand grab handle, just pull it one way to travel, pretty straightforward. This is, by the way, what a 50 amp cord looks like on the 2670, and the bigger models are going to have that. We got an outside light here. I guess awning, eh, Brennan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So inside, as you walk in, there's like a control panel. We're going to talk about this here shortly. But when I go to run the awning, I'm just going to push extend. Now, these electric awnings, you really can't dink them too bad. I'm going to be fine back there, Brendan.
That's as far as you can go. So I guess not over.
We get the idea, though. So, this awning comes out. There's a little valance that's going to hang down at 90 degrees. Okay, so when the awning's all the way out, that's how you can tell when that valance is hanging down. The keys of these awnings, they're not meant for windy situations. So if it's windy, you got to put it away. They're not meant for really rainy situations either. If it's really raining hard, you got to put it away. Warranty does not cover an awning from wind or an awning from rain. Okay, so we get that call multiple times a year. My awning blew off. What are you going to do for me? And the answer is we can't do anything for you. So there is a pitch kit, so you can adjust the pitch of the awning by adjusting this arm here. Folding this arm will create pitch one side over the other. It's on both sides. Yeah, so that sounds great, right? You're just forcing water to run off, but still, really rainy situations, it can build up quickly, and you'll collapse your awning. So just keep that in mind. Don't go for a walk on a crappy looking day with your awning out. You have light switches there for turning off or on those LED lights inside. On these longer awnings on the Imagines, they put the cradle there. You don't have to touch that at all. That just rolls over and rolls in. No big deal there. Okay. Other maintenance things. We talked about the roof. You got to get there every 90 days. We've talked about winterizing. You got winterized every year. The other thing that gets kind of forgotten about sometimes is you need to lubricate your door locks. So stick the key in there, hit it with a little bit of lubricant. Okay. Do those door locks. Do the baggage door locks. And then also lubricate your stabilizer jacks and your front coupler, because they'll start to get stiff with water and salt and corrosion, that kind of thing. So you want to keep an eye on those things. Anything else on the outside, Brennan? All right, we'll take a break and go inside. Right on, guys. So we're inside. We're going to start with the safety stuff here first. We got ourselves a fire extinguisher, okay? And then in the living space, we're going to have a smoke alarm, okay? So that smoke alarm has its own 9-volt battery. It doesn't run off the trailer. It has its own 9-volt battery. You have to check on that battery. And then we're going to have a carbon monoxide detector. That's typically, depending on every floor plan, that's typically in the bedroom. So same kind of thing. It has its own 9-volt removable battery. You have to check. And then we always have a propane detector. And the propane detector is always near the floor. And the propane detector is plumbed into the trailer. So if your battery in the front starts getting low, it's going to start beeping once every 30 seconds. So that's a low voltage alarm. An alarm is much louder. It's very, very, very loud. If your propane detector goes off from an alarm, first thing you do, walk outside the trailer, turn off the propane, and leave the door open. That's the next step. It may be though that it wasn't propane. It could be like a cleaner or something like that you just used in that area. So just kind of keep that in mind. But that's the next step. Propane alarm goes off. You walk out of the trailer, leaving the door open, turning out the propane at the front, and then you call somebody. All right. Well, let's just do this section over here. We got ourselves a fireplace. These are just buttons, so you're gonna be able to figure this out. But you have on and off. You have different levels of lighting. You have heat. You can go up and down for the temperature. and then you have a timer. You can adjust it for 8 hours, 1 hour, whatever you want to do. But that's just playing around with buttons. You'll be able to figure that out. Now, on the 2670, it has a lift for the TV. So that's just up and down here. Pretty straightforward. What also is going on in here, and this is less straightforward, is we have an on-off button in here for our TV antenna. So with the red light on, see that's on like that. That's boosting the signal from the antenna. If you have that off, that means you're using the cable from the site outside. And then this one right here is specific for satellite. So you've run your satellite out into the trailer. It's going to come out here, and then you go from here to your receiver, and then your receiver back to your TV. So again, you know, if you're doing that, you probably got that figured out anyways. Over here's our Jensen stereo. These kind of, you know, seem to change often. So you know, you have a power, you have an A and B in and out. You've got a DVD player in this particular one. You've got an auxiliary, USB. You have to play around with that. But the key is inside and outside speakers, volume, power, and away you go. Okay. While we're at this area here, these Grand Designs, they always have their own bag full of manuals. Okay. There's a bunch of individual manuals for individual components like your stove, your fridge, that kind of stuff. I don't really read those, or customers don't really read those. If you have a problem with the fridge, sure, read the manual on the fridge, you know, figure that out. But the big one to read would be this Imagine Owner's Manual. This kind of goes through all of it. Does what we do here, but with less charisma. Yeah, so, you know, kind of go through that if you want. And then in this package, you're also going to have a few remotes. So you have like a... Which one's this here? Yeah, so this will be a fireplace remote. Okay. You're going to have a radio remote and a TV remote. So the TV on these guys now is a Roku TCL TV, which means it's a smart TV. It is pretty easy. But basically, if you have Wi-Fi at the park or Wi-Fi in general through your phone, you can hook up to Netflix or Prime or something like that, YouTube even, through just the TV itself, without any kind of box or anything like that. So that's kind of slick. Got one in the garage at home, works just fine. Didn't take it from Imagine though, the TV. I bought that. Okay, microwave is a microwave. You have an on-off for your fan here, light. That's one thing I haven't talked about in previous videos. When you're running your stovetop, you should have your fan on, blowing the air outside. Before you go try to light your fridge, before you go try to light your water heater or anything else, you should always try to light your burners first. So we've turned the propane on the outside. You saw me do that. We're going to turn this burner to light. You can see the red light there is on, and then we spark it. Pretty straightforward. If you haven't used your trailer though in a few weeks, it may take a few seconds to get propane there, and that's why your fridge and your furnace won't light right away. So always light your burners first. It is one of those things, you're never supposed to use this for a heating appliance. Just don't do that. Use your furnace. If you don't have power, you can't heat the trailer. So don't use this for a heating appliance. People die every year because they use it as a heating appliance, and you have carbon monoxide poisoning after you go to sleep. So do not use that for a heating appliance. Just cook with it. The oven. Alright, you used to have a lighter, now we can use a sparker. So we turn this to light, which is the flame button right here, and I'm going to hold this in. As I hold this in, I spark this. Okay. You want to get in there, Brennan? There's a little blue light there, about halfway back on your right hand side. Okay. I'm holding this in for about 10-15 seconds, let it out, and then I'm going to turn it to whatever temperature I want. And there's your burner. Okay. If you're going to use it a few times in the weekend or week, leave it on pilot. Otherwise, just shut it off. Okay. You good about that, Brendan?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's our fridge. Used to be the controls were like outside. Now they kind of put them inside here for these Domestics. But pretty straightforward. If you want to run the this is a gas electric fridge. Okay. Some of the stuff we have out there now is a 12 volt only fridge. A little less complicated. But the gas electric fridge, you just turn it on, easy peasy, and then you can select what you want to use. Do you want to do auto, AC, or gas? So pushing this button will help me select that. Okay. So auto means it'll automatically try to run on hydro. I'm plugged in right now on the outside, so it's going to run on hydro like the plug. If I were to go outside right now though and unplug the trailer, it would automatically flip over to gas. Okay, that's what auto means. If you want to force it to one or the other, just push the button to AC or gas. And then you can control the temperature across the top here, and you'll figure that out for yourself there, what you want. Good. You think we show the table?
Yeah.
Okay. So these tables, they have kind of like a telescoping leg that pops up and down. What I do to lift the table up is I put my foot on the table leg, and I'm holding it down, the table leg itself, and I'm just rotating this up. Okay. If I want to rotate it back down, there's this little lock right here. I gotta slide over, which unlocks it, and then I can rotate it back down again. Okay. They do have it strapped in, and you'll have a strap on yours. I like the idea of leaving it down for travel. Okay. You could strap it in, leave it up, but I think most people would put it down there. Okay. Awesome. The theater seats are an option, so they may not be on your specific Imagine, but if they are, they got heat massage in them there. If you're on 12 volts, so you don't have hydro at the site, you're just dry camping, these won't work. So they're plugged into like a 110 outlet. You've got to be plugged in to use those right in through there. Okay. All right. Okay. I mentioned that there's GFI outlets on the outside, so if they're not working, it's because the GFI is kicked. In most cases, that GFI is in your washer. So if it's kicked, it will look like yellow light right there. Okay. So you just reset that by pushing in the center button. Okay. Always leave water in your toilet bowl. It's important because it keeps the stink down in the tank and the pipes, not in your trailer. So leave a couple inches in the bowl there. These are pretty easy, guys. The only thing that kind of happens is that they're spring loaded. So if you unlock it, make sure you're holding on to it. Otherwise, you're going to slam in the back there. So hold on to that when you're retracting those. You do have a shut off on the shower head, so you can turn that off and then keep the temperature the same if you want. The reason they're doing a lot of USBs and 110 receptacles is because the USB plugs will work off 12 volts alone. So if you're just on battery power, so no hydro, so you can plug in a phone or maybe a 12 volt CPAP machine, something like that, into the USB plug. But to use the regular plugs, you have to be plugged into 110. On the 50 amp service Imagines, so the larger ones, they'll have this looking panel here. On the 30 amp ones, it'll be a little different looking panel, but the same idea. You have fuses here down at the bottom and breakers right through here. If a breaker's blown, looks like that. Okay, so if you have a problem with electrical, come here first, have a look at that there. Fuses are also labeled. There's no physical way to see if they're blown, but there's a red light there that will light up, letting you know that fuse is blown, and they're also labeled as well. Okay. Quick thing. This is your return air for your furnace right in through here. So you don't want to shove a bunch of stuff in here. It's going to starve your furnace for air. Oh, with that little tidbit there. Brandon, you like that one? Good. That's good. Alright. That's good. Alright, so Brendan and I are going to tag team this panel here. What we got, and we'll come back to you, Brendan, at the end here. We'll switch spots. But this is how you control your lights, how you control your slides, how you control your awning, your water heater, your water pump. So for your average user, all right, you're just going to be pushing buttons here. Extend or retract for the awning. In or out for the slide. In or out for the slide. Now with the slide out feature, with the slide outs, when you go to bring your slide out in after you've been using it for the weekend, make sure that's swept off. Because if you have like debris or pine needles or something like that in the way, it's going to jam in there. It's not going to seal properly. So make sure the slide is clean before you're bringing it out. You can't bring these slides too far in or too far out. They'll just stop. So don't worry about that. Inside lights, outside lights, water pump. Okay? Turn that on. What that pump does is it pumps from the freshwater tank into your taps. Okay, so if you have city water connection, you have water at the site, you don't got to put the pump on. You only turn the pump on if you're using the tank that's on the trailer and you want to pump from the tank to the taps. You have a gas water heater, kick it on, kick it off. Electric water heater, kick it on, kick it off. Whatever you want to use. The gas is a little faster, but there's nothing saying you can't run them at the same time. One dangerous thing, it's not dangerous thing, but one thing about a electric water heater is if you run the electric water heater without water in the tank, you'll blow the element. So make sure you have water in the tank before you kick the electric button on. And then you have a monitor panel here where you can check the levels of the tanks themselves. So the fresh water, black water, gray water. I'll give you a little secret, the black water does not work. The gray water, the battery, and the fresh water tank, you can see how full they are pretty easily there, but the black water will always lie to you. Awesome. Thanks guys for watching that video. Thanks Brandon for chipping in. You can email us here at sales@layzeeacres.com, or you can call us at 705-833-2539. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Have a good day.
Hey guys, so I'm Brandon. I'm just going to go over the Compass Connect that they're doing with these systems. So on the board, it shows a Bluetooth symbol and then connect. I clicked that, it was flashing, and then I was able to just go on the app, click it Bluetooth, and then it actually told me that this unit was looking for someone to pair to, so we wanted to have some fun, so we thought we'd pair. So we had to do a passcode kind of thing, so I just did 000. It brings you right in. It's pretty cool. It goes over the lights, the tanks, like a lot of the same stuff that's on this board, but just on your phone. So you're able to be outside going through it, looking at it all. There's some cool features that I just noticed right away, like quick, like turn all the lights off. Easy enough, turn them on, they fire back on, and then yeah, like you can do the slides through here, so I could be standing outside making sure we're not going to be hitting a tree or something like that. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And you had to download the app first?
Yeah, I had to download the app. You can either do that from the Apple Store or just from the Play Store kind of thing. It's Compass Connect, and that's all I searched, and it was easy enough.